dificuldade de fazer essas coisas, meu Deus do céu. O jogo tá dizendo conexão excelente, demora 2 horas pra fazer qualquer coisa. Entendo. Cara, parece que eu tô com internet de 5 mega. Que horrível. É isso. Se eu conseguir colocar no ar, vai ser em cima da hora. Eu tô fazendo besteira aqui, meu Deus.
And brought famine and devastation to his own people. And so a lot of the history is lost, but we've done a lot of research about it. And then we had a lot of happy accidents that linked into the story we wanted to tell. And the fun thing for us is we get to do our own take on it. We get to twist it, and obviously we've made our own truth from it.
At the end of the sneak peek, the trailer, we saw monsters. Tell us a bit more about what's going on there.
The military unit that you're playing as, they don't really know what they're coming up against. They're not human, they're bigger, they're larger, they're faster. The team aren't going to know if there's one or two of them or hundreds or thousands of them. And that's kind of the threat with this, you know. They've got guns, maybe they could try and take one of them down. But maybe there's another one around the corner, or maybe there's a group of them, and maybe they're going to get ambushed.
Esse jogo tá virando uma febre.
Exactly, yeah, a nest, as it were.
Yeah.
And it's been really fun to work on and see these things move around and how horrific they can be. They're different to us. They perceive the world in a different way. Getting snippets of it in the darkness. And
porra, é isso que eu tô pensando. Será que é só Fire Experience?
Or is it actually just one of the other soldiers that's stuck in the catacomb?
Who's there?
We like to try and misdirect people on things, you know, that did you see something, did you not? And that's a great thing within horror, that you think you're going to be scared right now. And we're not going to scare you now. We'll scare you in a minute when you're not expecting it.
It's always coming.
Yeah, always.
So should we expect a huge amount of peril in the game?
Definitely. We love to do it. You know, it's fun for us to work on. As horrific as it is, and we know that our fans love it as well. So yeah, there's at least 60 unique deaths, and there's a whole ton of variation on that as well. So Merwin and some of the others, you're going to see different things happening to them depending on how you play it out, you know, getting ripped and shredded and torn. And because there's a firefight, there's going to be bullets flying as well and all kinds of stuff. And it's not just the deaths, it's the gore that goes along with it, and, you know, lots of blood.
Wicked. It sounds absolutely terrifying. I'm in.
No, is it? Not gonna lie, man.
Eu Se for isso aí, a conferência toda,
What
fala sério.
differences have you made or changes have you made to the gameplay and mechanics for House of Ashes?
We're always evolving the Dark Pictures. We listen to a lot of the feedback from our fans and also our team, what they want to do, how they want to push things forward. So we tried some stuff in Little Hope with more camera control, 360 cameras at certain parts, and we've really leaned on that again, and it really works well. In House of Ashes, lots of the game is set underground, and so these sort of corridors which are really tight and oppressive.
It's creepy.
Yeah, indeed. So we've had to learn, because you take away the fixed cameras, and that takes away some opportunities for horror, but we've had to learn new tricks.
Virou
to
mania
escape
agora,
people,
né? Tudo
ramp
num
up the
ambiente
tension,
escuro, underground.
the chance for jump scares, which we know some people love. We've also got a new torch mechanic, so
Pra dar uns
it's military
pulinhos
themed, so
escuros,
these guys will
susto.
walk around with weapons, with torches mounted on them. We love the lighting that we do, the sort of really inky black darkness that we have, and sort of the contrast to the bright areas. And so you're going to need to lean on that torch to allow you to see where you're going, what the threat is, and that kind of stuff. We've also done things like added difficulty settings to this game. So in Little Hope we added QTE warning icons as an example, and we've got some really good positive feedback about that, but also some people want to turn that off.
Tudo
We want to allow you to play the game in your way.
Resident
So
Evil 8.
with our accessibility settings and difficulty settings, if you want to have a more casual experience, you can change those settings. Still, most of your characters are going to end up dead, but that's
Spoilers,
what happens,
yeah,
indeed.
but that's what we come here for. That's
Yeah.
okay, we can deal with it. So I've got to ask, what was it like working with Ashley?
So Ashley was fantastic. She researched Rachel. She understood her when she came on the set. It's so refreshing. She knew her inside out. And Rachel is a flawed character, so she brought that through so fantastically. The rest of the cast were fantastic as well.
When we were looking for Joey, Salim helped me.
You didn't tell me this because...
You'd flip your shit.
We want you to connect to these characters and understand them as humans. We want them to seem real because they're real to us. We spend a long time designing them, and I don't mind if you hate any one individual character, because you don't like everyone in real life. But maybe you'll like them when you see the journey they go on.
Maybe you'll like them once they're dead and you feel bad about it.
and you feel bad about it, definitely.
Yeah.
But also we want you to save them. We want you to try and save them. We know that some people want to get everyone killed straight away, and that's fine. That's their playthrough. That's what they want to do. But can you get everyone out alive and save as many as you can?
It's a lot of replayability there.
Indeed,
It's on
yeah.
forever. I like that. So, last question. Favourite scene?
Favourite scenes? So Salim, our Iraqi soldier, and Jason Kolchak, one of the Marines that's there. There's a way that can play out, and a sort of contest between them, and you can make it go in a number of different ways.
The enemy of my enemy is my friend.
It's really emotional. Seeing them film it, I was lucky enough to be there, and then seeing that come through in game, I think we've got something there. I think that's gold. And then, of course, I love scaring people, so I love the jump scares. I love the moments of tension that we bring. We can't hold you in that moment, so we've got some fantastic jokes in there as well to allow you to relax for a moment before we scare you again.
To take your mind off the imminent threat. I like that. Dan, thank you so much. This has been really cool to talk about, and I'm sure, I'm excited and terrified in equal part, and everyone else is just excited, I'm sure.
And it's been a real pleasure to speak to you, and I can't wait to get it into people's hands.
It's going to happen.
Vou testar depois lá. Quero deixar.
Before we dive in to House of Ashes, see how scared you got, of course, we want to thank Razer for being one of the E3 2021 sponsors. Of course, giving us these tired old blades nobody cares about. But this Blade 14, RTX 3080 built right in. Of course, the Razer
I'm taking that.
Thank you so much. No, I'm taking that.
Okay, we'll fight.
Okay, well,
We've done it before.
you know what? I'll take the hand-me-down. I'll be little brother. I'll take the outdated. Nobody wants these anymore, right? Doesn't worry. Golden Boy, you just saw the Dark Pictures anthology.
Yeah.
Your first glimpse of it. We have some reactions from you.
Oh, you do?
They were recording you. They said you were a little scared, not terrified.
Not terrified, thankfully, because it was just a normal trailer, which
Here
is
we go.
fine.
See,
And now, there's my face.
You're
and
unsettled for sure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, you don't like that. You don't
yeah,
like
don't like that.
No,
Not a fan of that one either. Nope.
Nope.
Yeah, I think that was one of the jumps.
Dark Picture Anthology at House of Ashes. So Supermassive Games in Liverpool, UK, making that one, being published by Bandai Namco. It's I personally have fallen off the Dark Pictures anthology, very guilty, but I did love Until Dawn. I had a great time with that one. Persia, what about you? What's your experience with Dark Pictures?
I played Man of Medan, which was interesting because I hadn't really played Until Dawn, so I didn't know what to expect even hopping into that one, but there was some sort of satisfaction kind of going through it all and seeing everyone die. Yeah. So now I'm thinking about how they were talking about all of the bloody deaths coming in House of Ashes. I'm like, let's see if we can run this back.
I was gonna say because yeah, the dev was saying that like obviously there are people who you're gonna want to kill, or at least there are always players who are gonna try and kill everyone. I am a player who will try and save as many as I can, so I can't really identify. Tam, what's your experience with these ones?
Yeah, I played a bunch of Man of Medan, and I went to like a kind of like spoke to the developers behind it, and I think the thing about it for me currently is the ambition that the developers have for it, especially coming off Until Dawn and the critical acclaim that they got for that, and what they've executed on has been slightly at odds with each other. I feel like they've got the spark of something, and it's just not quite hitting in terms of one thing or another. Sometimes it's like the writing's not all there, sometimes it's like the atmosphere's not quite there, or like the decision-making moments aren't perhaps amazing. This one definitely feels like it's starting to look like it could be the most interesting, especially thematically, narratively. So I'm really excited to jump back into it and see how they deal with it. Like the idea of a kind of like military setting where this weird supernatural thing is happening, and how that impacts the people around it, the mental states of them, and then them knowing that in terms of gameplay they needed to shake it up a bit. I think that is really good, a really good sign going into this new entry in that series. So I am definitely more inclined to keep an eye on it and check it out when it comes out for sure.
É sério que vai ficar nisso aí mesmo, jura?
If you think about Until Dawn, I remember when that one was announced.
Não é possível, acho que tem coisa errada. Deixa eu olhar aqui essa porra direito.
Announced like way ahead, and it was very different. I think I remember it was like a PlayStation Move game, like you use the PS Move as sort
Deixa eu
of
procurar outro, porque não é possível que seja isso aí.
And then ultimately, like the way that game evolved, and so maybe Supermassive have learned something, and they're just kind of making these shorter experiences that are still, you know, full to the brim of player choice, but are maybe less ambitious in all the millions of different permutations you could potentially get in Until
Não é possível que seja isso, cara. Acho que esse cara, eu peguei, devo ter pego um link errado.
Also means that they can be a little bit quicker when it comes to reacting to things like player feedback. As you can see, they're changing their accessibility options, which is always a fantastic thing to hear and see developers do. But also changing.
Vai começar daqui a meia hora essa porra.
They're adding like difficulty settings.
Quer ver só?
Changing the camera stuff, because I loved Until Dawn in the way that it had like this filmic quality. It was. Every shot seemed very deliberate, and it's obviously, you know, a throwback to something like Resident Evil, where you sort of have the tank controls and the very deliberately posed cameras. But that does mean that like some players are not going to enjoy that, and so I'm intrigued to see them experiment with a freer camera for this one. The story hasn't particularly grabbed me just yet, because I have never heard of the Akkadian Empire. British schooling, unfortunately, did not go that far, but it sounds intriguing. Like...
Cara, por que fica tudo lento quando a gente tá fazendo essas coisas, gente? Só que bosta.
Day, so I'm very
it is not a guilty pleasure. It is a pleasure.
Oh.
You know, and I felt like maybe we'll see that out of House.
Você vai ver aqui no canto, ó.
There was dialogue that we saw, and it really hit me to my core.
Yeah, and they showed the actors doing the motion capture. I love horror movies.
Ainda não começou o negócio da Namco Bandai, não.
I love horror games. I'm a kind of a gore hound. I love blood and guts, and I love kill gags. Whoa. So like, I'm looking forward to see all the inventive and clever ways that Pazuzu is going to kill our soldier friends.
Oh boy. Oh boy. I just like saying Pazuzu, even though it's absolutely horrifying. Yes. Anyways, Goms, I can't talk. Games have changed and evolved so much over the years, and with those changes, so has the coverage of our favorite games. Outlets like PC Gamer, IGN, Polygon, and GameSpot have all led the way in gaming coverage, and for the first time ever, we've assembled the editors in chief of all those organizations and our Voices of E3 series. Take a look.
Hello, welcome back to E3 2021. My name is Chris
String, I run
Games, which is one of the world's biggest video games business websites. And joining me today to talk about E3 and the future of games in general are some of the biggest names in the video games media, from IGN, GameSpot, Polygon, and PC Gamer. But rather than me do the introductions, I'd like to pass over to the panel. Hello, everybody. Who are you? What do you do? How did you get here?
Sure. I'm Christopher Thomas Plant. That's my full birth name. It sounds like Christmas plant if you say it really fast. I'm the editor-in-chief of Polygon.com, and it's a website.
Thanks. This is Evan Lottie over at PC Gamer. I'm the editor-in-chief.
Hi, everybody.
Enganou
I'm
todo
the
mundo.
editor-in-chief of IGN. I don't have a cool Christmas Twitter name, but I do have a really cool Halloween Twitter name that someone gave to me, which is Tina Amenityville. So that's all I got.
Hi, how you doing? My name is Randolph Ramsey. I'm the editorial director from GameSpot. I go by Randy in this country because while it's okay to be called Randy in America, if you say that anywhere else in the world, people will be met with sniggers. You can't say, hi, I'm Randy, to anyone else out there.
Yeah, it's definitely true for us in the UK. So asking to all of you here, what does sort of E3 sort of represent to you? I don't know if I want to pick on somebody, but Randy, maybe.
It's difficult to separate E3 as a professional working in the industry and as a fan. I've been in this industry for so long that, you know, it's E3 to me is usually just a lot of late nights, you know, being overworked, not having enough sleep. But I think, you know, outside of the professional stuff, I think E3 for me, you know, it allows me the chance to feel like just a regular old fan of video
Puta que
games.
pariu, que
You know,
chato.
I still get hyped about stuff that, you know, gets revealed. Yeah, and you know, for those brief shining moments of those, you know, major press conferences or, you know, during, you know, like a
Caralho, que chato, maluco.
you know, I can sort of forget that there's all this work that I need to do around
Ver se eu
this
fico
big
passando
event
alguma
and
outra
just, like,
coisa
be a
pra
fan
não morrer de tédio aqui.
Yeah, having that in-person reaction,
Nossa,
like you're
mãe,
typically
cara.
sitting, if you're at a press conference, which I think probably for many of us, we maybe stopped attending them in like a physical capacity and maybe had like
Parece que a
war
Ana mandar só
room
começa
of
daqui a
sorts
meia
with
hora.
our
Deixa eu até
team.
confirmar
But in
isso
general,
aqui.
just being able to sit next to your team and everyone's like reacting and then quickly scrambling to their keyboards again because they need to be typing up the news. That's obviously the primary element of it. But for me personally too, it's a bit of a reunion because we'll all see each other in person. But it is that opportunity to have that one space, that 1 week. We all agree we're going to take that time and be in one space together and be able to connect.
Yeah, I think E3 is the center of gravity too, right? I mean, in an environment, we saw what happened last year what happens when there's not an E3, right? Everyone kind of goes it alone. And, you know, there's definitely some pros to that, but I think from a coverage perspective, we like having, I mean, you guys probably all share the same attitude. We like having as much time as possible to, you know, do an interview, cover something, and not be rushed off to the next thing back to back to back. But there is kind of an efficiency for us, I think, and the viewer, the consumer, and having everything neatly collected under one roof for, you know, 3 or 4 days. You know, the intensity and kind of spectacle that comes as a result of that, I think, can be genuinely fun and exciting. So, I mean, at least in North America, it looks like E3 will continue to be that center of gravity for the foreseeable future.
For better or worse, you get reminded very blatantly that, like, this is a human enterprise. There are some real people who are putting in some, like, long hours trying to make for the best possible event for all of us.
Well, this year is a digital event, and there are lots of questions about what E3 becomes in the future. There's a lot of chatter about that. So what do you hope to see from it come sort of 2022 or beyond that? What are your hopes for the future of E3 and what would you like to see?
Caraca, a gente não sabe nem o que vai ter. Que hora que vai ter, não tem nada aqui dizendo.
I think it's like important to remember what function E3 served back in the day. You know, in the 90s, video games were for children or dorks. And mainstream publications covered it once a year, and all video game companies need to put all their money into one basket and pray that the New York Times wrote that story, right? Now it's the opposite. I mean, sure, newspapers are still catching up, but otherwise, video games are the center of culture for young people. I think The Guardian wrote about that. And because of that, E3's purpose.
Cara, vocês acreditam que já acabou?
For this one day, let's put all of our money into it. It has to be something different.
Inacreditável.
Which seems to be more celebratory, right? Like that kind of has become a purpose. So I hope that whatever we see it become in the future is, like you said.
Você tá de sacanagem que essa porra já foi.
That it is this thing that is bringing people in, that is the center of gravity, that is serving a larger communal purpose.
And it is significant, you know, obviously despite the drawbacks of everything, of all of us being in a pandemic that's going to be running about 2 years long by the end of this, or hopefully just 2 years long by the end of this. I think it is significant that when we are being in this digital format now, I think it's nice that more people can connect. Obviously, it loses some of that social element. So I too, like Chris, hope that is retained, and I selfishly hope that we all go back in person. But I think keeping some elements digital does help kind of connect to a broader community. And there can be various aspects of that. Obviously, the press conferences are something that are typically digitally available to begin with. But are there some of those panels that have been introduced, or some other versions of connectivity or versions of celebrations that is something that people can experience in person or at home to feel like they're a part of that entire celebration of the festivities, of the news breaking, and they can get a sense of that same excitement that they may be feeling home alone because for whatever reason they're not able to attend.
You know, I'm kind of hopeful that the live aspect becomes a lot more like Comic-Con in the future, in which it's much more a celebration of games culture, and community while you're there live in person. I think the ESA, as everyone pointed out, has been sort of moving towards this hybrid thing where, half of it is still behind closed doors meetings with retailers, and then they're trying to, introduce more people into it.
Nós estamos diante de uma das E3 mais bosta da história do evento. Só salvou a Microsoft e a Nintendo. O resto, Microsoft e a Nintendo salvaram essa feira. Porque, meu Deus do céu. Que é isso?
While still having that sort of hype vehicle and talking about the next big thing. So, if anything, I would hope that they push that sort of live community aspect more when you're there.
How far do you think they should go in that direction? Like, would you just like to see them take a full-on Gamescom approach where there are, potentially tens of thousands of people, having a full public day, dedicated to, that's really servicing the public more than the trade side, the business side?
Yeah, I think a traveling E3 show that goes around all year and visits multiple cities.
Some people hate you for that one.
Well, luckily, I'm not in the USA. But yeah, and I realized that PAX does this to a certain extent as well. But I think what E3 could be is still have that spotlight on the biggest and the best things, and allowing people to as I said, get hyped, get excited about their favorite hobby.
Cara, foi só aquilo mesmo que nós vimos. O cara falando do negócio da Etnis e foi só aquilo, acabou.
Can we let go of the secrecy?
Meu Deus,
right? Because Comic-Con works because they put talent in front of people. But when you put talent in front of people, suddenly they have leverage. And that means that, they're worth more.
Eu soube, está esquecido não, eles mostraram lá e tudo e tal. Mas não está esquecido não, está guardado. Não está esquecido, está guardado, diferente. Eu vi o vídeo.
Right. That can take their place. that can create these.
Eu vi o vídeo que eles mostraram o troféu.
I think it would be healthy for the industry as a whole for people to actually be.
Caralho, bicho, não, isso é inacreditável. Nossa, que bosta foi essa? Oh. Caralho, mostra os caras falando do House of Fat, acabou. Puta que pariu. Não, só de sacanagem, eu vou botar um vídeo meu rolando aqui só pra gente ficar batendo papo. Não é pra ganhar view. Vai tomar no buraco, que é isso?
There's almost two parts to me. There's the fan that wants to see the big booths and the exciting, all the
Não
noise.
tem lógica. Não tem lógica.
Cup of coffee and
Caramba, cara.
Networking. So I think I would like to have a sort of business show.
Cara, inacreditável.
I don't know how I don't know how you fit that into the LACC, but I think that's something I would like. But I mean, at the same time, they're sort of moving to that sort of hybrid model anyway, and I think.
Cara, não, eu vou te contar depois, na moral, E3, eu adoro você, mas eu também acho, concordo. Na moral, E3, adoro você, mas depois dessa, fecha as portas. Na moral, se for pra ficar assim, a gente não precisa de vocês mais não. Tem brincadeira. Se for pra pensar essas conferências bosta que foi assim, a gente não precisa de vocês mais não, sinceramente. A Nintendo faz o Nintendo Direct dela lá, a Microsoft faz o Microsoft Theater e acabou. Ninguém precisa ser mais não. Se é pra ficar fazendo essas coisas bosta assim, ó. Sinceramente, bicho. Caramba. E E3 já acabou. Estamos diante, talvez, da E3 mais merda que já aconteceu. Só salvou a Microsoft e a Nintendo. Ou melhor, a Microsoft e a Nintendo salvaram a E3, né? Porque fora isso... Nossa senhora... Caraca... Até na Nintendo tem uma notícia boa, né? Porque o Fatal Frame vai chegar para Xbox também. Então tiveram notícia boa. Cara, olha como é que o YouTube sacaneia. Olha isso aqui. Olha esse número de views aqui. Ela escondeu esse vídeo. Esse vídeo não consegue sair desse número. Olha a sacanagem que é isso aqui. Deu muita sacanagem. Eu demorei anos pra fazer esse vídeo. De vergonha, né? E ele vai e o YouTube vai e esconde o vídeo. Apesar de eu ter colocado um SSD aqui nesse computador, ele não é suficiente para fazer eu conseguir rodar um negócio direito, para fazer live e tal. É uma doideira. O PC tá louquinhozinho. De narrador, vou tentar narrar esse jogo, ver se fica legal. Se ficar legal, se vocês gostarem, eu sigo a Eurocopa. Eu vou aqui jogar com Portugal, né? Vou tentar manter o bicampeonato. Vou brigar pelo bicampeonato, né? CR7, vamos ver se vai dar certo essa brincadeira. vou arriscar aqui pagar esse vídeo pra vocês, mas seja o que Deus quiser. Então vamos acerta o seu aí que eu abro o mim aqui e vamos lá. Tá começando aí a Eurocopa pra vocês, Portugal e Hungria. Vamos lá. Tá aí CR7 logo na entrada. Seleções entram em campo. Lindo estádio de Munique. Lembrando que a Eurocopa se passa em 11 localidades diferentes da Europa. Então agora vamos à execução dos himnos nacionais.
E é isso aí. A equipe se cumprimenta no gramado. Vamos agora ver as escalações. Para ver se da Hungria. E pelo amor de Deus, outro trava limpa, miserável. Vai ter um nego ali. E vamos também aproveitar a escalação de Portugal. Obviamente, muito mais fácil falar, né? Tá ali o CR7, João Félix, Leonardo Silva, o Fernando, o Moutinho, o Pereira. Ali que é aquela equipe que a gente já conhece normalmente. Também convenhamos, não tem como ter muito mais que isso, porque na geração portuguesa essa aí é a melhor. E tá aí o que você queria. Nosso grande Januário Oliveira, aquela homenagem. E vamos lá, segue a bola. Um grande ataque, está. Guerreiro guerreou. Nossa Senhora. Isso. Vai pra cima, meu filho. Cruzou. Vem ele. Deixa o homem pegar a bola, não. Vem Bruno Fernandes. E vai deixar? Ih. Thiago Silva. Cancelo. Cruzou. Olha o CR7 de cabeça. Puta que pariu na trave. Filho da... Rapaz, o homem já chegou mostrando as credenciais já. Vambora, garoto. Rapaz, que sacanagem. Vamos ver tocando a bola. Tocando. Um de banda ali. Ei. Nossa senhora. Oferecimento Bustela pro Tórios Furo. O furão. Olha o outro retardado também. Relamando, gado. A Hungria. Opa. Deixa eu seguir. Maravilhoso. O cara treinou uma semana pra fazer uma bosta dessa. Mas tá bom. Não férias. Vamos lá. O João Moutinho com a bola. Tocou bem pra cacete também. Nossa. Eu não dei com a bola outra vez. E vai. E não vai mais. Deus do céu. Vai Portugal e toca. Nossa senhora, vai brincar de passe errado assim na longe. Cacetado. Vambora. Opa! Nossa, mas é um ator. Ai, que tá rolando no chão até agora. Nossa senhora. Deve ter machucado o Mundinho. E Hungria, tocou. Ih! Vai então me dar a bola aqui que eu vou tentar nesse meio campo, que eu vou te contar um negócio. Vai, João Félix. Tocou. Puta, o cara passou aqui embaixo. Tá... Ih, não deu certo, né? Mas 17, meu Deus do céu, como é que tu perde um gol desse, retardado? Ah, não, foi informado aqui que ele falou assim, não, eu já sabia que ia pra fora, por isso que eu tava impedido, por isso que eu mandei pra fora. Ai do céu. O homem tá nervoso, estreia da Eurocopa deve estar nervoso. Marca a bola com ele. Eita, e vai. Chutou. Puta. Nossa. Escanteio a Portugal. Vai, matou no peito. Vem tirar a bola de mim. Não. Olha o outro retardado que escorregou. Não tinha reparado, não. Isso, agora é mesmo, filho. Que a hora que o homem chegar cara a cara, eu quero ver. Será na cobrança. Ih, parou demais. Cadê a Hungria? Lançou. A Hungria tá brincando de eleve 1. Que a bola chegava e só lançamento. Ó, mas vamos eles de novo. Vai que uma porra dessa dá certo, quem sabe? E lá, vai Portugal. Cristiano Ronaldo. Toca a bola. Nunca se. Pensando na jogada. Boa, garoto. Boa, Guerreiro. E o Félix. Ups, passou o trem e levou a bola junto. Cacetada. Vai, Dani. Boa, garoto. E lá que o Júlio marcou falta, que deu uma frescura. Cristiano Ronaldo. Tocou. Ronaldo Silva. Tocou. Que essa bola não passa. Isso! Tá boa. Tá boa. Vocês repararam que a Hungria, os jogadores fizeram o quê? Vê que a Hungria não é um time top, o que o time faz? Ele tá todo lá atrás, recuado. Ixi! Mas, meu filho, chegando do lado da área, não sei o que fazer, né? Você repara que o time da Hungria tá todo recuado, jogando no contra-ataque. Boa, que bolão. Um Fernandes. Um Félix. Guerreiro. Cruza seu... Meu Deus do céu. Menino vai voltar para a escola de passe jumento. Vai na bola, menino. Não, o Pepe a gente tem que falar. Vai na bola. Porque se deixar, ele vai na canela, vai no joelho, vai na coxa e esquece a bola. Cuida. O time do alguém tá mantendo bem a bola. Porque a marcação tá muito boa. Olha a linha, os 4 lá e mais o... Você vê que a Hungria tá totalmente recuada. Olha que o João Félix, meu filho, não tá sabendo fazer nada, hein? Ainda marcou falta do... Olha, isso é louco. Pior que não tem VAR nessa aí, né? Então, vai ficar por isso mesmo. Isso é o número 0 a 0 na partida. Daquelas bem mais ou menos. Mas vamos lá. Vai que no segundo tempo pode ter uma emoção. Passar aqui com o golzinho. Vamos lá, vamos ver. Bola. O Félix toca com CR7. Ronaldo Silva. Isso, eu pensei. Não, meu filho, vamos ver se vai acertar. Acertou! Lá na puta que perdeu do céu. O que esse menino tá pensando? Jesus amado, o que esse menino tá pensando com essa bola? Não, vou mandar na bandeirinha de escanteio. Não tem lógica. Rapaz, vou te contar. Ih! Vai na bola, animal! Olha, tá arrancando as calças do outro ali. Ele tá doido. Tocando bola. O Fernandes. Ixi, marcou falta de quê? Ai. Borrou a maquiagem dele. Pelo amor de Deus, muita frescura. Isso. Félix. Olha, acertou um passe. CR7 também hoje tá difícil. Poxa. Deixa eu contar um negócio, rapaz. Olha aí, vamos no lançamento. Vamos no cruzamento na área. Vamos no lançamento. Ih, que bolão. Ih! Olha só, meu puta! Nossa senhora! Rapaz! Acho que nem o CR7 esperava que a bola sobrar daquela maneira. O cara ia errar aquele sei lá, meio voleio, meio bicicleta, meio sabe? Segue o jogo. 0-0. Chato. Vamos ver. Quebrou o pescoço do outro lado. Eita. Quebrou. Acertou o segundo passe da outra. E que bolão. E agora? Ele chegou na cara do gol. Bateu. Que pariu. Olha. Puta. Mano. Que é isso, CR7? Você tá de sacanagem que você perdeu um gol desse. Rapaz. Olha o goleiro sai de fora. Boa, bolão. Chuta. Nossa. Caramba, ruim. Confira com a mídia do play, Anderson Reis. Ele tá dando. Vamos ao time. Aqui. Acompanha um grito. Acho que um grito é feliz com 0-0. A impressão que dá é que ela tá feliz com esse 0-0. Que ele marcou, bicho. Vem que esse louco desse juiz marcou, gente. Alguém entendeu? Ele marcou o quê? Ai, me assustei. Acho que foi isso que ele marcou. Pai do céu. Vamos lá. Eita, ficou. Agora. Isso, meu garoto. Ele tirou a zaga. Ih, vai entregar. Olha só. Bateu. Cristiano Ronaldo. Agora ele vem, que ele tira a onda. Tipo assim, duas não. Vai, Budão. Eu mato que é sua obrigação diante da cagada da zaga do adversário. Agora vou tirar a onda. Olha isso, cara. Que entrega foi essa? Toma aí. Pai do céu. Ó. Não vou entregar pro zagueiro. O outro zagueiro não se comunicou. Chegou. Aí vem ele, ó. Não, peraí. Eu erro uma. Duas não. Bobão. Vamos lá. 1-0 Portugal. Sai a bola, hein? Homem lançar. Olha a Hungria fazendo macete do Michael. Oi, Cristiano. O que esse homem marcou, Jesus? Vamos ver. Senhora. Nada. Só um piso aqui. Vamos lá, cobrança de falta para Portugal. Guerreiro. E o Jesus amado. Não marcou nada, não? Que vantagem, né? Rapaz. Por que o João Félix tá dançando lá em cima? Olha. Rapaz, convocaram o João Félix, veio o Michael Jackson. Ou sei lá, veio o Araqueto. Que porra, ele ficou sambando lá em cima até... Olha isso. Ô, louco. Ele vai mandar pro cruzamento. Vai pro escanteio. Uns 2 metros pra baixo era gol. Uns 2 metros pra baixo era gol. Tranquilo. Da só na bicuda. Olha lá, é só no lançamento, só na bicuda. Só jogando no estilo Ghost Storm. Nossa, piada só porque é muito velho pra entender. Só quem jogou Ghost Storm não entendeu. Olha só. Isso, tá. Tocar a bola. Oh, brincando, ó. Vai, foca. Foca no jogo. Nossa. Ai. Tô numa fase pra ser nossa. Bateu. Bateu. Nem sei se foi longe, foi perto, não sabia agora. Deu pra assustar. Com essa cara dele. Mas deu pra assustar. Chegando no final do jogo, deu de 1-0. A Hungria, né? Houve lançamento. E esse acertou. Isso marcou, Bufo. Se esse maluco esse marcou pênalti, eu esqueci até doido. Que ele marcou? Curioso, vamos ver. Ah, chute na bunda. Chute na bunda que ele marcou. Viu? Cada Hungria tem um chute na bunda e foi isso que ele marcou. Ainda bem que foi de chapa, porque se você pega de bico com essa chuteira aí. Acabou de tocar para ataque. Ô, cacete, tá valendo tudo. Passaram o rodo ali. Não consigo. Um fenômeno. Tá terminando o jogo. 90, vamos a 4 minutos de acréscimo. O Ronaldo morreu, só fez o gol. É o comentário mais idiota que existe, só fez o gol. Só tá ganhando 3 pontos, mas só. O Cristiano Ronaldo fez o gol e parou de jogar, cansou. Não Félix, tocou, Cristiano Ronaldo tentou driblar, perdeu. Rapaz, o homem tá mal hoje. A sorte tá em dia, mas a habilidade realmente tá frequente. E termina o jogo. A vitória de Portugal 1-0. E galera, eu espero que vocês tenham gostado dessa brincadeira. Comentem. Se vocês gostaram, eu vou fazer mais um. Eu poderia até ser um pouco mais extrovertido, mas é a primeira vez eu fiquei meio vergonhado.